Quick, we're series sisters. 1v1. I heard that a furry bun sitting down with the deity teased the heavenly way and then ran away. While running away, don't forget to take away the system that is considered a taboo from the emptiness of the Heavenly Dao. Others do tasks. For resurrection, for revenge, for profit. Li Huan's task. To pass the time, the regent, who was in power, pressed his forehead against hers, his fingers clasped tightly, and his voice was light but serious. Huan, I like you very much, very much. The ill-mannered and despicable elder brother hooked her little finger and smiled kindly. Either marry me or be locked up for a lifetime, choose one. The dark and paranoid demon lord touched her disabled leg, his eyebrows and eyes so gentle that they couldn't speak. Don't run away, I only have you. Take a look. Although these characters occasionally suffer from serious illnesses, they are much better than the one in the void. There are so many men in the world, Li Huan has decided not to go back. One day, a certain system burst into tears. Host, hurry up and run away, whimpering. Li Huan. What are you trying to escape from? I haven't had enough fun yet. A certain system has nothing to love. The system has just detected that each plane is holding on to the same person, the one in the void. Li Huan. It's better not to run at this time than to wait for when. A certain man grabbed her neck. Where are you going? People are already asleep, and kissing has become a reality. What else do you want? Help. Why is this person's soul lingering? Keywords of the novel. Quick where. Malicious female supporting hand-tearing cannon fodder script with no pop-ups, quick where. Malicious female supporting hand-tearing cannon fodder script. TXT complete collection download. Quick where. Malicious female supporting hand-tearing cannon fodder script. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1 World 1. Princess, Show Mercy, 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 World 1. Princess, Show Mercy, 1. Chapter 1 Princess Lin Huan, System Enable. World Loading. 6%. 18%. 55%. 100%, deity. The plane has arrived. Please initiate the task for the host. The sandalwood in the furnace slowly burned, and wisps of white smoke slowly dissipated in the air. The woman on the noble concubine's bed was dressed in thin clothes and rested leisurely with her head propped up. The originally peaceful and comfortable environment was disrupted by a burst of noise outside. Chu Lin Huan. Sienna has already conceded to such an extent, why are you still being aggressive? If you're not guilty of being a thief, come out immediately and explain this matter to me. Outside, the man's clamor was becoming increasingly loud. The person on the noble concubine's bed casually opened their eyes, and a few strands of impatience appeared in their pitch-black eyes. Where are the flies from? They are so noisy. Disturbing people's clear dreams. Calmly walking down from the noble consort's bed, the maid who had been waiting by the side lifted her hand and helped her to the dressing mirror, picking up the wooden comb from the dressing box to arrange her hair. Li Huan looked up at herself in the bronze mirror and carefully examined her face. It seems that the shell that the system found for her is well made. This pair of eyes alone is enough to hook people. Xiong Yu skillfully helped Li Huan tie up her hair and gently inserted the steps in her hand into her hair. Princess, are you still wearing plain clothes today? Before Li Huan could make a sound, Xiong Yu didn't know what was on her mind. Suddenly, she knelt down in fear. The princess's atonement is due to the servant's talkative behavior. The slender hand lightly supported the steps in the hair, and Li Huan turned her head to gaze at the kneeling maid on the ground, feeling lost in thought. It seems that the original owner of this shell is not very kind to the people under his control. The host guessed correctly. A cold voice echoed in Li Huan's mind, confirming her hypothesis. Before Li Huan could ask, the voice seemed to know what she was trying to say and took the initiative to speak. The host's current identity is the only princess of the Shang dynasty, Chu Linhuan. The person causing trouble outside the door is her crush. I will send the specific character information to the host later. Oh, what's my task then? The host only needs to be a good malicious female partner and play various roles as demons, making it easier for the male and female leads to live. Upon hearing this, Li Huan's eyebrows lifted lightly. She is good at this. Provoking people's hearts and causing trouble. It's really a delightful task. With a good mood, Li Huan withdrew her thoughts and curved her lips, looking at Xiongyu. Get up, don't wear plain clothes today. Xiongyu looked up somewhat bewildered at the words. The princess didn't blame her for her slip of tongue. Is it because Su Gongzi came to find her today and is in a good mood? Although I have some doubts in my heart, I still don't need to be punished. Xiongyu quickly stood up and deftly added makeup to Li Huan. There was a slight amount of lip fat on her fingertips, and Li Huan wiped it onto her lips. Gazing at the blush that appeared on the lips of the person in the mirror, the corner of her mouth slightly rose. Matching, your efficiency makes me a bit skeptical of your business ability. It's already been half a pillar of incense time, and the plain information hasn't even reached her yet. A certain ruler in the system space felt his forehead twitch and coldly retorted. Host, you can doubt my character, but you cannot question my business ability. Also, don't ask me to match. I am the seventh system created by the Heavenly Way. You can call me Xiaoqi. What kind of match is it called? The girls are chattering, his setting is male. Okay. Li Huan nodded nonchalantly, seemingly not listening to the system's words. Even if a certain ruler shows some restraint in gritting his teeth when speaking the last sentence. Tongzi, who had been perfunctorily treated, maintained a cold expression on his face, but angrily pressed the transmit return button in his hand, transmitting all the positional information to Li Huan at once, and crossing the dialog box. A large amount of information flooded into Li Huan's mind in an instant, and she felt her brain being stretched and a bit sore. Feeling uncomfortable, Li Huan frowned and a fierce light flashed through her eyes. The dog is forcing Tongzi, she will eventually kill it. Indifferently digesting the extra memories in her brain, Li Huan raised her hand and rubbed her forehead. Now, she has a good understanding of the world. After a long pause, Li finally released a new book. Readers who like it, remember to bookmark it. Due to internship reasons, updates may fall off from time to time, but it gets even better every day. This is the Sisters of the Fastware series. Remember to support on Duo. Molly has a bit of a glass heart. Readers who don't like it can take a detour. You can also leave more comments, and I will adopt the relevant opinions. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Princess, Be Merciful, 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Princess, Be Merciful, 2. Chapter 2. Plain tasks. The body that Li Huan is currently boarding is the only daughter of the late emperor of the Shang dynasty, and also the most favored princess of the entire Shang dynasty. Chu Linhuan. The royal family is very tolerant of Chu Linhuan's actions, and they will spoil him if they can. Because she was indulged from a young age, it also helped her develop a proud and indulgent temperament. His father was afraid that no one would protect her after he left, so he had already arranged everything for her. If Chu Linhuan wants to get married, someone will immediately start preparing. If she doesn't want to travel around, there is enough money for her to squander. Chu Linhuan could have lived his life carefree in the midst of countless favors. However, by a stroke of luck, she met the son of luck in this world. At this moment, Su Zibo was still barking like a mad dog outside Li Huan's door. This encounter with the son of Qi Yun disrupted Chu Linhuan's original fate trajectory. Due to excessive entanglement with the son of Qi Yun, soon after Chu Linhuan's father passed away, and the cause of death became a mystery. The new emperor ascended to the throne. The late emperor had no son, so the one who succeeded him this time was a sworn brother of Chu Linhuan who had fought on the battlefield with the late emperor in his early years. Everyone is speculating about what will happen to this prosperous princess after the new emperor ascends the throne. I never thought that the new emperor would indulge in everything she wanted to do, just like the previous emperor did during his reign. During the lifetime of the late emperor, Chu Linhuan still had some restraint even though she acted excessively. However, now that she lacks that restraint, her actions have become even more reckless. The change of fate made Chu Linhuan a vicious female partner who hindered her luck and was with her loved ones in this world. Ultimately, it led to the rebellion of the son of Qi Yun and the downfall of the prosperous dynasty. Suzy Bowden ascended to the throne and sat with beautiful women. But Chu Linhuan was brutally stabbed after being thrown into the military camp and used as a military prostitute. Leaving Chu Linhuan's memory, Li Huan slowly unfolded a fluorescent taskbar in front of her. Task 1. Return Chu Linhuan's fate trajectory to its original position. Task 2. Continue to play the role of a malicious female supporting character and hinder Su Zibo, son of Qi Yun, from being with Qin Xian'er, female lead of this world. Task 3. To be determined Li Huan. It's quite outrageous to continue to be a malicious female supporting role while maintaining Chu Linhuan's original fate. But what kind of ghost is this mission pending 3 days? Li Huan seriously suspects that Task 3 was temporarily added by Shao Qi to find opportunities to make things difficult for her. Shao Qi in the space absorbed a white light ball in front of him and nodded undeniably. My own host is very smart, that's what it means. But it will not admit it. Taking back her thoughts, Li Huan was unable to roast about her own system. Forget it, it's not too late for her to settle accounts with it when she gets tired of it. Li Huan picked a goose yellow silk dress and put it on. She listened to the noise outside the door and gestured for Yu Qiong to open the door. Standing outside the door, Su Zibo, who had been waiting impatiently, became angry when he heard the sound of the door opening. He suddenly looked up but was stunned. Chu Linhuan, whom he used to detest very much, now has the words, stunning, popping up in his mind. Li Huan walked slowly out of the room and felt Su Zibo's gaze. She lifted her eyes and scanned the face with a faint gaze. TSK. Chu Linhuan's vision is so poor. In theory, as a princess, a handsome man like Su Zibo should be seen more often. And Chu Linhuan actually took a liking to him even though he didn't show any outstanding qualities. Is this the charm of a male protagonist with a face? Suzy paused for a moment. He seemed to have seen a hint of disgust in Chu Linhuan's eyes just now. This idea flashed through his mind and was immediately dispelled. Chu Linhuan's liking for him is well known among the people of the prosperous dynasty, but how could he develop a sense of disgust towards him? At this point, Su Zibo frowned. He didn't forget the purpose of coming to the regent's mansion today. Chu Linhuan. Sienna was punished by the prime minister yesterday, but was it your pen? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Princess, Be Merciful, 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Princess, Be Merciful, 3, Chapter 3 50% Listening to the aggressive questioning tone, Chu Linhuan seemed to have done something terrible. Yu Qiong stole a glance at Li Huan's expression and bit her lip with some displeasure, feeling even more uncomfortable in her heart. Actually, she doesn't have a good impression of Su Zibo. Even though her princess knew that there was a Qin Xian'er by Su Zibo's side, she never did anything to embarrass her. It was Su Zibo who relied on the princess's liking for him and would come and go to her house every now and then, putting some unnecessary hats on the princess's head. But unfortunately, Princess likes him, and Yu Qiong dare not say anything. Li Huan lifted the hem of her skirt and walked down the steps without any annoyance. Just stopped a few steps away from Su Zibo and gave him a friendly smile. Do you know what crime it is to trespass on the regent's mansion without permission, young master? Su Zibo, who was originally waiting for Chu Linhuan to give an explanation, was taken aback by this question. Li Huan's eyebrows and eyes curved, and before he could speak, she asked again. "Excuse me, young master. Do you know that calling the princess by name and being rude to her is a crime?" Just now, Su Zibo, who was still hot-headed, calmed down in vain when asked by Li Huan. He didn't know how to answer for a moment. Qiongyu stood behind Li Huan, looking at her with a hint of surprise in her eyes. After being surprised, she felt a bit confused. The princess seems a bit out of place today. According to the past situation, the development should not be as follows. First, Su Zibo became very happy to actively search, then the sadness after being questioned, and finally, a day of depression without thinking about tea and rice. But now the event doesn't seem to have followed the usual trajectory. Is it because the princess suddenly wanted to open up? Yu Qiong silently clasped her little hand. Although this idea may be a bit unrealistic, she still has some lost expectations. Li Huan still had a smile on her face, but she behaved very appropriately. She looked around the huge courtyard and then looked at Su Zibo again. I believe the young master also knows that if this princess wants to be held accountable, these few charges are enough to make you lose your head many times. In a state of contemplation, Li Huan seemed to have thought of something again and added. Oh, I have to add the crime of trespassing on the princess's boudoir. Su Zibo swallowed a mouthful of saliva and looked up at her, feeling a slight chill in his spine for no reason. Chu Linhuan today seems a bit different from before. Chu Linhuan never said these things to him before, or in other words, never held him accountable. Even when he was angry, Chu Linhuan stuck to his side like a dog's skin ointment, trying to make him happy. That's why Su Zibo looked down upon her extremely, even disgusted. But now Chu Linhuan's attitude towards him suddenly made him realize that if he set aside Chu Linhuan's liking for him, he was nothing in her eyes. But Chu Linhuan is still the towering princess. Even though she was the subject of private discussion among the people of the prosperous dynasty, her identity as a princess remained there without any influence. Li Huan extended a hand towards Yu Qiong. Yu Qiong supported her to the stone bench in the courtyard and sat down, taking the tea cup from the table to pour her a cup of tea. Su Gongzi, if this palace really doesn't like the Sienna girl in your mouth, there is a way to make her completely disappear from this world. How could the Prime Minister only punish her briefly? Do you think so? Taking a light sip from the tea cup on the table, Li Huan smiled. Or are you being called son.in.law too much by others, and really treating yourself like a son.in.law in this palace? You. Su Zibo was choked up and speechless. Putting down the tea cup, Li Huan didn't feel in the mood to talk to her anymore and turned to look elsewhere. Yu Qiong, see off the guests. Don't casually put idle people into the regent's mansion in the future. If Uncle Huang finds out, he may be unhappy. Yu Qiong nodded slightly and said, yes, princess. Su Zibo seemed to want to come forward and say something, but Yu Qiong reached out and stopped him. Mr. Su, the gate is over there. Looking at Su Zibo's angry departure, Li Huan glanced at a progress bar above his head. 50%. Li Er is about to appear in the next chapter, end of this chapter. Chapter 4. Princess, Be Merciful, 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Princess, Be Merciful, 4. Chapter 4 Gas transportation progress as expected. He is the son of Qi Luck, and the current progress of Qi Luck has already reached 50%. A cool breeze blew inexplicably in the courtyard, and the tall tree leaves rustled along the wall. Occasionally, a few green leaves fell. Li Huan turned her head to look at a place, her eyebrows lightly raised. Uncle Huang, this is your territory. If you want to listen, there's no need to hide. The pleasant voice of the woman filled her ears with the wind, and Gu Jingxiao calmly walked out from behind a rockery, his cool gaze resting on Li Huan. The guards following behind Gu Jingxiao also appeared. The guard still held a swaddle in his arms, inside which was a sleeping baby. Li Huan blinked as she watched the 99% progress above Gu Jingxiao's head. To ensure that she didn't misread, she also checked the progress bar of the guards. 0%. This Li Huan couldn't help but ponder. Are you experiencing a bug in the system? Xiaoqi stared at the white light emanating from Gu Jingxiao's body and mechanically shook his head. Not available. Although it doesn't know why there are people in this world with higher luck than Su Zibo. But it can be very certain that it has not encountered any bugs. The atmosphere suddenly became somewhat quiet. Li Huan poked her head and looked at the baby in Gu Jingxiao's guard's arms, breaking the eerie atmosphere. Why did Uncle Huang bring a baby to my courtyard? But if you have something to look for me. Looking up at the 65% energy level above the baby's head, Li Huan felt a bit confused. These days, even a newborn child's luck is so high. Anyway, it's a bit abnormal. Since Gu Jingxiao appeared, his gaze has not shifted from Li Huan. He quickly withdrew his eyes when she asked, and his tone was indifferent. Passing by, come and take a look. This icy appearance made Li Huan think of someone for no reason. She frowned almost imperceptibly, with a hint of inexplicable emotion in her heart. Perhaps it's displeasure or maybe it's irritability. She has already run into 3,000 worlds, why is everything about that person still lingering? It's really a bit unpleasant. Princess Yu Qiong, who had seen off Su Zibo, ran into the courtyard and called out to Li Huan. But seeing the regent, who had never appeared in the courtyard before, she was lost for a moment. What happened when I only went out for a moment? After reacting, Yu Qiong respectfully bowed to her. I have seen the prince. Gu Jingxiao nodded to her in response. Turning to Li Huan, he asked in a low voice. Are you hungry? Ah. Li Huan's expression was somewhat blank for a moment, and she looked around to confirm that Gu Jingxiao was talking to her. She looked up at the sun and nodded obediently. I'm hungry. It's already noon now, it's time to eat. Then follow me to the front hall for a meal. I don't know if it was Li Huan's illusion, but she always felt that when Gu Jingxiao said these words, there was a hint of softness in his eyes. But when someone takes her to eat, she is still quite willing. Yu Qiong watched as the princess left with the regent, her face filled with confusion. Since the day her princess moved into the regent's mansion, she has hardly seen the regent appear. Even if he stepped into the courtyard where the princess lived, today was the first time the regent had dined with the princess, let alone the prince. Glancing at the guard who had not yet left, Yu Qiong lowered her voice slightly curiously and asked softly. Song Shui, do you know why the prince treated the princess like this today? Song Bo shook his head. Not only did Yu Qiong feel puzzled, but he himself was also puzzled. I even feel that the prince is still a bit strange today. In the past, the prince almost never had any interaction with the princess who lived in the mansion. And this time, he even took the initiative to come to the courtyard, and even more outrageously, he took the princess to the front hall for a meal. Did the princess's attitude toward Su Zibo today change the prince's view of him? With a light poke at the baby's rosy face in his arms, Song Bo led Yu Qiong towards the front hall. He is ultimately just a guard, and it is impossible to guess what the prince is thinking. Thank you, joyful little cute, for your continuous support on QWQ. Thank you. I have medicine recommended ticket for rabbits who don't like to eat fish. I like collecting more and more. Our family's Huaner combines intelligence, cuteness, and affectation, which is very pleasing. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Princess, Be Merciful, 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Princess, Be Merciful, 5, Chapter 5 Secret Edict. The dishes on the table are dazzling, with a slightly outrageous variety. Li Huan is a bit greedy. These dishes are coincidentally her favorite. Originally, someone like her who had lived in nothingness for thousands of years should not value the desire for food and drink. But the dishes cooked by Sister Nan in the temple are just as good as they can be. This makes her yearn for all the delicacies in the 3,000 worlds. Now that there is an opportunity, how can we let it go? Gu Jingxiao looked at Li Huan's sparkling eyes seduced by delicious food, and a shallow curve curved his lips. He had never seen Li Huan have any other emotions besides being so happy about eating. Li Huan was hesitating how to move her chopsticks when someone placed a tempting piece of pork belly in the bowl in front of her. Her gaze moved with Gu Jingxiao's gesture of collecting chopsticks, and she gave him a bright smile. "Thank you, Uncle Huan." Gu Jingxiao stared at her, and after a moment of silence, he responded softly. "Host, don't you think Gu Jingxiao's attitude towards you is strange?" Li Huan, who was buried in eating, paused slightly when she heard Xiao Qi's question. She doesn't understand the way human relatives interact with each other, but she thinks it's okay for someone like Gu Jingxiao, who has a cold personality, to treat her niece like this. Host, according to the plain plot, the intersection between Gu Jingxiao and Chu Linhuan is not deep, the number of meetings is rare, and they have never even had dinner together. Xiao Qi flipped through the relevant information in the space and continued to remind. And in the original plot, Gu Jingxiao did not bring back a little baby from the mansion. Li Huan picked up a piece of steamed fish and dipped it in the sauce, then put it in her mouth. Yu Guang glanced at Gu Jingxiao and quickly summarized the relevant information in her mind. Gu Jingxiao, the regent of the prosperous dynasty, wielded immense power over the court and was greatly feared by people. The stability of the prosperous imperial city and the people today is partly due to his reasons. Although Gu Jingxiao is only 20.1 years old, his deeds are well known throughout the prosperous dynasty. The deceased late Emperor Chu Han and the current reigning new Emperor Zhao Ruozhou and Gu Jingxiao are brothers of Baibatzi. Chu Han had killed enemies on the battlefield before becoming emperor, and Gu Jingxiao was the one he picked up from the battlefield. Chu Han, Gu Jingxiao, and Zhao Ruozhou were initially dissatisfied with the various oppressions in the court. In the end, the three conspired to rise up in rebellion, overthrowing the dynasty, killing the tyrant, ending the tyranny of long-term oppression, and establishing a prosperous dynasty. The establishment of the Qing dynasty was very short. When Chu Han picked up Gu Jingxiao, he was only 19 years old, and Gu Jingxiao was only 6 years old at that time. Chu Linhuan was just born. When Gu Jingxiao was 11 years old, he followed Chu Han to the battlefield. When a few people rebelled, he was only 12 years old. Now, he has been fighting on the battlefield for 10 years. His outstanding military achievements made the people in the court dare not object to him. Even the call for him to ascend to the throne as the new emperor after the death of Chu Han was the highest. But for some unknown reason, Gu Jingxiao did not choose to ascend to the throne, allowing Zhao Ruozhou to take advantage of it. However, Gu Jingxiao did not hand over his military power. If one day he wants to become emperor, it will only be a moment. Although Chu Linhuan called him Gu Jingxiao as an imperial uncle, they had no blood relationship when pursuing him. Chu Han wanted to find someone who could protect Chu Linhuan well. Looking at the entire prosperous dynasty, there was no better candidate besides Gu Jingxiao, who had both power and influence. This is also why Chu Han trusted Chu Linhuan to live in the regent's mansion before his death. Li Huan took a sip of soup and her hair swayed gently with her movements. Actually, Chu Han left a secret edict before his death. Only Gu Jingxiao knows the content of the secret decree. Of course, Li Huan also knows that the system she brought is not just a decoration. This secret edict is a marriage decree bestowed by Gu Jingxiao and Chu Linhuan. Thank you for Qingting's recommended ticket. Why didn't the little cutie remind me to change? Only when there is a reminder can there be motivation to code characters. Don't you want me to add more? Don't you want to? Don't you want to? Talking on the upper body, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. Princess, Be Merciful, 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Princess, Be Merciful, 6. Chapter 6 Disguise. The content of the secret edict is somewhat absurd. But this is also the best way for Gu Jingxiao to always protect Chu Linhuan. However, the secret edict will only be announced to the world by Gu Jingxiao when Chu Linhuan wants to get married. If she doesn't want to get married, the content of the secret decree will be an eternal secret. So in some ways, Li Huan is eating at the same table as her fiancé A.E. Having had enough to eat and drink, Li Huan supported her face with one hand and stared at Gu Jingxiao's profile with her pitch-black eyes. Actually, Gu Jingxiao is not bad at all, and can be said to be very good looking. The lighting inside the room is excellent, and only Gu Jingxiao's profile can be seen from Li Huan's direction. The sunlight shining in from outside coated his face with a halo, delineating the contours of his face very well. Gu Jingxiao lowered his eyes and showed his cool temperament to the fullest with every gesture and gesture. He didn't seem to notice the gaze that Li Huan had placed on him. Li Huan incorporated his appearance into her eyes. The man's slightly curled eyelashes reflected a delicate light, and the white halo made his sturdy nose bridge stand out, finally outlining his lip shape and jaw. I really don't understand why Chu Linhuan likes a simple and plain-looking Su Zibo when she is so stunningly beautiful in such a person. Sure enough, love makes people blind. After being stared at by Li Huan for a while, Gu Jingxiao put down his bowl and chopsticks and asked her in the eye. "What are you staring at me for?" Li Huan blinked and said truthfully. "Because Uncle Huang looks good." Gu Jingxiao's soared eyebrows slightly raised. "Is that right?" Li Huan nodded seriously. "Of course." Her pitch-black eyes sparkled as she switched to supporting her chin with both hands, speaking with a hint of probing. "Uncle Huang, can I see you every day?" If there were beauties to nourish her eyes every day, Li Huan would feel very happy. Gu Jingxiao pursed her thin lips and raised one hand to pause in front of Li Huan's forehead for a while. Then, she bent her finger and lightly flicked her forehead. "What's on your mind all day?" Li Huan covered her forehead and leaned back, her eyes like harmless cats. "Can't it be?" There was a hint of disappointment in the tone. Yu Qiong, who had witnessed everything on one side, suddenly had an idea in her mind. "Damn it! Promise her quickly. Promise her quickly. Who can refuse such a cat-like princess?" Gu Jingxiao let out a sigh, as if he had compromised. "Sure." Li Huan's eyes were filled with joy in a low moment. "I will also have dinner with Uncle Huang tomorrow." The man in front of him didn't speak anymore, which can be considered as acquiescence. Xiaoqi in the system space looked thoughtfully at the performance of his own host. Pretending to be like a seemingly harmless little white flower for humans and animals. Just this man Xiaoqi scrutinized all the micro-expressions and movements of Gu Jingxiao, half squinting his eyes. This man doesn't seem to be so easy to deceive. It only unintentionally reveals a hint of indulgence towards the host's actions. Although Xiaoqi felt a bit abnormal, he did not find any flaws in his disguise from Gu Jingxiao. The dining table has been cleaned up by someone. Li Huan looked around bored, seemingly looking for something to do. She doesn't know much about the world, so she suddenly doesn't know what to do when she's free. And she doesn't expect her system, which always thinks about how to trap the host, to actively help her understand the world. Gu Jingxiao seemed to see through Li Huan's thoughts and raised his hand to shake and straighten the steps that were about to fall from her hair. "I'll be more relaxed later, do you want to go out for a walk?" In short, he has free time in the evening and can take Li Huan out for a stroll. Li Huan lifted her head and looked a bit cute. Love. Think. Why not take the initiative to take her to understand this world? However, is Gu Jingxiao helping her with the footwork too easy? Thank you to Qin Ting, Ozwanger for their lifelong pursuit of excellence, and Qin Feng Feng Net for their recommended tickets. Add an extra chapter as a benefit. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Princess, Be Merciful, 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Princess, Be Merciful, 7. Chapter 7 Troubles. There was no curfew in the prosperous dynasty, and the imperial city was very lively at night, even more people than during the day. Li Huan and Gu Jingxiao shuttle in the crowd side by side, holding 3 bingtenghulu in his left hand and 1 in his right hand. Yu Qiong followed them closely, and Song Bo, who was carrying a straw stick full of bingtenghulu on his shoulder, also followed. Gu Jingxiao glanced sideways at the person who was much shorter than him, and a slight smile appeared in his eyes. Li Huan's cheeks were bulging, and she ate like a mature little rabbit. She peeked at the various small stalls on both sides of the street, her face full of curiosity. Suddenly, Li Huan was hit by the crowd. She clenched the tomatoes on sticks that almost fell from her hand and leaned against Gu Jingxiao. One arm quickly wrapped around her waist, stabilizing her figure. Li Huan looked up at Gu Jingxiao and consciously moved towards him again. After taking 3 strings of tomatoes on sticks from the woman's hand, Gu Jingxiao pulls her hand, and her voice is very low. Don't scatter. Feeling the warmth on her hand, Li Huan lowered her head and stared at the hand with distinct joints for a moment, nodding slowly. Yu Qiong covered her mouth and smiled behind her. Why does she feel a little excited when she sees the prince holding hands with the princess? What are you laughing at? Song Bo looked puzzled. The prince is holding hands with the princess, Yu Qiong answered honestly. Song Bo still couldn't understand. What's funny about holding hands? As he spoke, he also took Yu Qiong's hand very consciously. If you're afraid of getting lost, then I'll hold on to you too. Yu Qiong was taken aback and her small face instantly turned red. Men, women give and receive without marriage. Before she could finish speaking, she was hurriedly interrupted by Song Bo. The prince has gone far away from the princess, don't lose sight of him. With a red face, Yu Qiong followed Song Bo's footsteps and hesitated to speak. Mother. I want to eat that. The childish voice of the child echoed in the crowd. When Li Huan heard Yen and looked at her voice, she saw a little boy pointing at her mother's tomatoes on sticks. After hesitating for a moment, Li Huan took a string from Gu Jingxiao's hand and handed it to the boy. I happen to have a lot, so I'll share it with you. The boy happily took it and secretly glanced at his mother's face. Seeing that she didn't say anything, a smile bloomed on her face. Thank you, sister. Sister is really beautiful. Li Huan, who was praised, nodded in agreement and pinched his small face. I really speak. Gu Jingxiao glanced at the boy and expressionlessly pulled Li Huan back, his tone very light. Let's go. Waving goodbye to the little boy, Li Huan obediently continued walking forward with Gu Jingxiao. Walking to a place, the crowd suddenly increased several times, and the people who came and went directly squeezed the two apart. Huaner. After being squeezed apart, Li Huan vaguely heard someone calling her. Looking back, I didn't see anything. Gu Jingxiao stood still, his gaze fixed on his hand, which still had the warmth of a girl, and his brow furrowed. With tomatoes on sticks in her mouth, Li Huan walked aimlessly without any tension on her face. Xiaoqi, why are you letting someone separate me from him? She can't find her way back, it's a problem going back to the regent's mansion this time. Xiaoqi sweeps the last tomatoes on sticks on the bamboo stick in Li Huan's hand and swallows it. Host, Qin Xiener is also here. The presence of Gu Jingxiao will make it inconvenient for you to do things. Li Huan played with the empty bamboo stick in her hand and licked her lips. It seems that the system wants her to do something. Yes, she is a malicious female supporting character, she needs to have the cultivation of a malicious female supporting character. At a glance, Li Huan saw a beautiful little sister standing by the river. She casually handled the bamboo skewers and walked towards that place. The female protagonist of the plane is indeed different from others. Her whole body shines at night, like a pearl of night. Qin Xiener stood dignified by the river, probably waiting for someone. Not far away, there was a little girl dressed as a maid, as if giving her some fresh air. There are many people nearby, which is not suitable for Li Huan to directly take action. Silently blending into the crowd, she slowly moved towards the location of Qin Xianer. Waiting behind Qin Xianer, Li Huan took cover from the crowd and kicked her with her foot. Qin Xianer's figure swayed and collided with a passerby. Plush. Two people fell into the water together. Li Huan withdrew her feet and quietly disappeared into the crowd. She rubbed her nose as she watched the two people splashing in the river. Oh no, I accidentally harmed the innocent. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Princess, Be Merciful, 8. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 9. Princess, Be Merciful, 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Princess, Be Merciful, 9. Chapter 9 What a coincidence. Shao Qi in the space also trembled for a moment when Gu Jingxiao suddenly appeared. How could it not sense someone approaching the host? And it clearly hides all the breath on the host. Why can Gu Jingxiao still find where Li Huan is? Li Huan calmed down her fast-beating heart and quickly organized her words in her mind. Uncle Huang, I. She had thought of all the unbreakable words, but in the end, they were instantly cleared away by Gu Jingxiao's sudden embrace. No one has told you to wait in place if you get separated from someone. The sound above can be heard mixed with a hint of nervousness. Li Huan pressed against Gu Jingxiao's chest and silently closed her mouth. Actually, no one told her to stand still and wait if she gets lost. Even if she got lost, she couldn't think of anyone who would come to find her. Gu Jingxiao is the first one. Listening to the strong heartbeat in her ear, Li Huan placed her hands around Gu Jingxiao's waist and her tone became restrained. I used to have Yuqiong with me when I got lost, but today Yuqiong is not here either. Am I afraid? Shao Qi chuckled in the space. I'm really scared, so scared that I can even kick someone into the river. Li Huan. Xiaoqi, isn't it good for you to dismantle the platform like this? Shao Qi. Uncle Huang, let's go back to the mansion. Li Huan poked a small head out of Gu Jingxiao's arms and obediently blinked at him. Gu Jingxiao released Li Huan from his arms, with a cold expression on his face, as if the anxiety just now was just an illusion from an outsider. He grabbed Li Huan's 5 fingers and lightly nodded at her. Song Bo stood a few meters behind Gu Jingxiao and quietly looked at the two people standing under the bridge, still carrying the straw stick filled with Bingtenghulu on his shoulder. He has been following the regent for several years, and this is the first time he has seen the prince behave in such a rude manner. Even in the past, when fighting on the battlefield, the prince was easily surrounded and resolved by the enemy. However, today, due to Princess Linhuan, the prince's calm like stagnant water was broken. Chu Linhuan seems to have become the only person who can affect Gu Jingxiao's emotions. Song Bo felt a bit puzzled. Why is this? Why did the prince suddenly change his attitude towards Princess Linhuan today, even though he used to treat her the same way as others? The crowd by the river suddenly became a bit noisy. Li Huan was planning to retrieve his own little jade xiong and bring her back to the mansion, when he looked up and saw her running towards her with the bamboo pole he had thrown to her. Princess. For a moment, Li Huan felt that Yu Qiong was a bit foolish. She raised her finger to the bamboo pole in Yu Qiong's arms and asked in a voice. Why are you still holding this? Yu Qiong lowered her head and glanced at the things in her hand, looking serious. I naturally have to take what the princess gave me. Li Huan stared at Yu Qiong's small face and fell into deep thought. Are humans all such foolish animals? Song Bo walked to Yu Qiong's side from afar, took the bamboo pole from her hand, and threw it directly onto the ship parked in the river. Don't you think it's foolish to walk on the road with such a thing in your hand? Yu Qiong looked at the bamboo poles on the ship and then at Song Bo, finally hanging her head and not speaking. Li Huan smiled and touched her furry head, gently comforting her. All right, our family's Yu Qiong is just listening to me, not stupid at all. Comforted, Yuqiong lifted her head and took a small step towards Li Huan, snorting lightly at Song Bo. The noise of the crowd did not stop because of Yuqiong. Gu Jingxiao looked ahead calmly. Su Zibo walked towards this place holding Qin Xiener, who was soaked all over. He naturally noticed the few people under the bridge, and his gaze stopped on the tightly clasped hands of Gu Jingxiao and Chu Linhuan. Li Huan also noticed Su Zibo's movements, raised an eyebrow, and said hello. What a coincidence, young Master Su. Thank you for Qingting's recommended ticket. Thank you to a certain paladin, Mr. Qingxi, for recommending ticket Sichuan earthquake. Can you imagine the feeling of being awakened by the earthquake at around 4 o'clock in the middle of the night in Li? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Princess, Be Merciful, 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors.